Well, when you think about the Ravens, when you think about the Orioles, you think about Mo Gaba. The beloved Baltimore superfan passed away at the age of 14. He battled cancer 4 times. When he was just 9 months old, he lost his eyesight to a malignant tumor. Across the state, people are sending in their condolences to his family. Even our Ravens MVP, Lamar Jackson, people sharing their memories of Mo.
My heart is with Mo's parents, and friends and family, because he was a great kid.
Mo just meant everything to Baltimore, honestly, and the way he was fighting, the way he always had that smile on his face, and the way he would always look on the positive side of things. It was just really motivating. Just makes everybody want to be a better person.
Following his funeral, Jimmy Seafood will close to treat his loved ones to wake in his honor. Yesterday, Mo was named to the Baltimore Orioles Hall of Fame. He also became an honorary Baltimore police lieutenant earlier this month, and last year became the first person to announce an NFL draft pick using Braille. Our hearts are heavy tonight. You're watching WMER 2 News at 5 o'clock. Former Baltimore delegate Cheryl Glenn will spend 2 years in prison. She was sentenced today in a virtual hearing. A federal judge also ordered Glenn to serve 3 years of supervised probation and pay $19,000 in restitution. Glenn previously pleaded guilty to 2 federal charges of fraud and bribery. She resigned from the State House of Delegates after she was accused of accepting more than $30,000 in bribes in exchange for her vote on the opioid and medical marijuana liquor license legislation. A murder mystery is unfolding in Baltimore County after a deadly ambush last night in an apartment complex just off of Hazelwood Avenue. WMER 2 News' Jeff Hager has more on what happened.
Tonight, police are asking for your help after a double shooting in Rosedale, which left 1 man dead. Police returned to a parking lot at the Park East apartment complex in Rosedale on Wednesday, collecting potential evidence after a double shooting here the night before. Investigators say 31-year-old Trevor Hamlet lived here and was driving home with another unidentified man when both were apparently ambushed in the parking lot.
They pulled up, they got out, and unfortunately a suspect walked up and shot both of them. One of them died at the hospital from his injuries. Right now, Baltimore County homicide detectives are investigating the circumstances surrounding it to figure out exactly what happened and find a suspect.
Both men suffered gunshot wounds to the upper body, and Hamlet did not survive. While the killer remains at large, police do not believe the gunman poses a threat to the public at large.
We don't believe anybody that lives in that area has any worries as far as anyone targeting them. This does not appear to have been a random incident. However, again, we're still trying to figure out all of the circumstances related to what happened.
If you have any information which could help police, you're asked to call Metro Crime Stoppers. That number, 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. Reporting in Baltimore County, Jeff Hager, WMAR 2 News.
5 people shot in 3 days to start off the week in Annapolis. 3 people shot on Sunday in the 1200 block of Forest Drive. 14-year-old Cameron Wallace was shot and killed Monday night. Then on Tuesday, a 17-year-old was shot. He was taken to a local hospital with a gunshot wound to his lower body. The shooting was in the same block as the killing the night before.
Anytime you have any shooting or crime of violence like that, it's super concerning. Not only to us, but the individuals that live out here in these communities.
Police are still reviewing security cameras. This is the 5th homicide in Annapolis so far this year.
And now from WMAR 2 News, Maryland's most accurate forecast.
Lots of showers and thunderstorms firing up across a large swath of the country, but looking closer to home, the state of Maryland and Baltimore and all of our surrounding communities, things are definitely on the drier side, and at first glance, that's a beautiful thing. We saw our share of severe weather last week and strong storms, but we could use some rain because despite the showers that have moved through, we are still a little bit below where we should be. Now, keep in mind, we take our measurements at the airport, and so far this July, we've picked up just shy of 3 inches. We should be approaching almost 4 inches for the month at this point. So we're about 3/4 of an inch below where we should get rain. And of course, that isn't distributed equally across the state of Maryland. Some folks have received their fair share, others have not. And for that reason, we are monitoring at least the potential for some dry conditions. We're actually dry for the most part west of Baltimore. That's going to include folks that are in Howard County, Carroll County, and points eastwards. But if you look off towards the north and west, northern Frederick County, and even portions of western Carroll County, under that moderate drought. So those areas have not received as much rainfall as folks to the east, especially on the eastern shore. So you just want to be vigilant. You know, a lot of folks are practicing fire safety. You know, obviously you don't want to burn anything in the yard, but also you want to watch your water usage. Now, this is just a moderate drought, but if this continues, there could be some shortages down the line. So you don't want to leave the water running when you're brushing your teeth or take 45-minute showers. Just as a word of wisdom here. As far as the heat indices, the good news, no heat advisories today. It's been a while since we've been able to say that, and it's been a while since I've looked at a map in the evening and not seen triple-digit heat index spread out across at least half of the region. So a little less humid, and the feel-like numbers are a little bit lower, although feeling like 95 degrees down in Stevensville. Tracking temperatures cooling as we head through the evening, giving you the green light to hop on a bike, though. Temperatures cool to about 74 degrees with the southwest wind at about 4 miles per hour. We'll start off the day tomorrow with a mix of sun and clouds. Temperatures will rapidly warm into the 80s. As we head into the afternoon, we will once again be talking about heat indices, getting into the mid to upper 90s by your lunch hour. 97 degrees, your afternoon high, feeling like 99. Only a slight chance of showers. I think we're mainly dry tomorrow with partly cloudy skies. Temperatures cooling as we head into the evening, feeling like the lower 90s by the 8 o'clock hour. Segueing into Friday, we are looking at the chance of showers in the forecast. Have the umbrella on standby, watching the tropics. Of course, potential tropical cyclone 9 continuing to churn towards the west. South of Puerto Rico moving to the west-northwest at 23 miles per hour. We're watching how strong this high-pressure system is to the north because that's going to determine exactly where it is going. Here's that final look at your 7-day forecast where we're looking at slightly cooler numbers as we approach the weekend. Unfortunately, rain chances are sticking around.
All right, thanks a lot, Patrick. Well, there could be a coronavirus in the vaccine, in a matter of weeks, and it is coming from Russia. But the extremely sped up vaccine timeline comes with quite a few risks. You're watching WMAR2 News at 5.
Subscribe to WMAR2 News on YouTube for daily videos. Watch anytime on all of your devices.
All right, Russia says that they are about 2 weeks away from approving the first coronavirus vaccine. Country officials are calling it a Sputnik moment, comparing it to the first space satellite launched in the 1950s. But it comes with some pretty serious risk. Human trials would be incomplete, and officials say third-phase trials would be done at the same time as the vaccination of frontline medical workers. Russia has currently the 4th most coronavirus cases in the world. The country has been accused of hacking U.S., Canadian, and British labs for vaccine secrets. Parts of Japan are partially underwater tonight. Heavy rain hit the northern part of the country today, flooding people's homes and prompting warnings of mudslides. 11,000 people have left their homes, and authorities are advising tens of thousands more to evacuate. Japanese news outlets say no deaths so far have been reported. The annual Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca is underway, though at a vastly reduced number than usual. Around 1,000 pilgrims started the rituals in the Saudi Arabian holy city. Usually that number is around 2.5 million. The reduction is, of course, a side effect of the pandemic. Saudi Arabia has the most cases in the Middle East.
Ravens training camp is underway here in Owings Mills. I'm SHAWN STEPNER. How is Lamar Jackson adjusting to the beginning of this rather unique camp? He'll tell you coming up.
You're watching the station that's working for you. Now, WMAR2 News at 5.
You know, making it to your high school senior year is usually a big deal for a teenager. But for the class of 2021, many of those students are going to be spending much of their senior year at home. WMER2 News' Mark Roper says that realization has been really difficult for some. Tonight, he's sharing some of their stories.
When your senior year takes place during a pandemic, much of the typical high school experience is postponed or even canceled.
Doing all of those, things academically and socially, extracurricularly was really, their livelihood. So having that normalcy and that happiness taken away from them has been very difficult.
I think it's important just to have your senior experience because that's the last year you're going to be in high school before you're going off to 4 years or so of college and then the real life.
Many Maryland high school seniors may be completing their final year at home, while Carroll County students like Grant Procopio are waiting to find out if they might be headed back to the classroom.
So I think it's so important because there's a lot of programs and stuff that seniors can only do, like internships, and if you're a junior and a senior, you can do a career and technology program. And you can only really do those if you're going to be in person.
I don't particularly feel anxious to go back. I think my biggest thing is I'm anxious for other people. I know a lot of students, a lot of friends that are really heartbroken by the news that they won't really have a lot of their senior year.
There are some students, though, who would prefer to return to school when it's safe to do so. But Baltimore City senior and student commissioner Joshua Lynn points out it takes more than brick or stone to make a high school.
The people inside of the building are truly what make up the building. So we have to, understand and, ensure that we are, having innovative teachers and, making sure that they are, thinking in innovative ways to ensure that students are able to get the education that they deserve.
After the pandemic changed the way students learn, many also recognize school may never be the same.
We look at the amount of opportunities that virtual learning has afforded us. We can look at all the bad and so much, going in the world, but, this opportunity has allowed us to transform the educational system in America.
And what could all of this mean for the future of the class of 2021?
Excited to have a graduation. I hope that we can have that ceremony by the end of next year. I know that this last class didn't get that opportunity.
That was Mark Roper reporting. The Carroll County School Board is meeting right now, and they're expected to discuss their reopening plans during it. However, the board will not make a final decision until next week. Now, as far as the teachers are concerned, the Carroll County teachers are calling for virtual learning. They participated in a car rally circle this afternoon with parents and other supporters. They say they want the Board of Education to get virtual learning right and to ensure that coronavirus safety measures are fully in place before returning to the classrooms.
Look at the facts, look at the graphs. The coronavirus is in fuller swing now than it ever has been. And I think that if we just try to reopen schools, the virus is going to get transmitted more and more, and kids are going to get sick, and they're going to infect either their elderly relatives or their immunocompromised friends, and those people are going to die. If we try to act like everything is normal and go back to reopening schools fully, people are literally going to die.
The Board of Education is expected to vote in the coming days on how Carroll County schools will reopen in the fall. With most counties committed to going virtual until January at the earliest, the Maryland Food Bank is preparing for the expected increase in need. Before the pandemic, the group estimated that more than 1.5 million Marylanders needed help with food. Without schools providing breakfast and lunch to many children, that number is expected to rise exponentially. They say their school pantry program will be available again this fall to provide critical access to food for students as well as their families. All right, let's check in with meteorologist Stevie Daniels, who is joining us from home tonight. Boy, this heat just won't let up, Stevie.
Yeah, Kelly, and actually we're going to be rising in temperature as we head into tomorrow. We're actually going to be about 9 to 10 degrees above average tomorrow afternoon. And it certainly felt pretty hot out there today, and we dealt with buckets of sunshine, but we're still talking about plenty of sunshine out there by Manchester Valley High School. So it's not looking too bad out there, but it's still feeling quite warm as current temperature readings are in the lower 90s across the state. And that's exactly where our heat index values are. Dew points today only reached the low to mid 60s for most most spots. So that's why it didn't feel as humid as it has been the past few days. Right now, satellite radar is picking up on showers up to our north around the Great Lakes region and to the south closer to the Carolinas. We are going to stay mainly dry, pretty tranquil as we head overnight, with temperatures dipping down to the mid and upper 70s. But I'm tracking rain and thunderstorm chances as we head into the next few days, especially for the weekend, along with increasing humidity. But I'll lay out everything you need to know in my full forecast. Back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Stevie. There are some encouraging results from phase 1 and 2 of some COVID-19 vaccine trials. That is according to a doctor and associate professor of international health and vaccine science and the deputy director of the International Vaccine Access Center at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. The school hosted a COVID-19 briefing today to discuss trials and development of that COVID-19 vaccine. The doctor also says an infrastructure needs to be set up before a vaccine is released to the general public.
After the vaccine is licensed for use, the importance of safety and pharmacovigilance infrastructure cannot be understated. We need to make sure that we have systems in place to monitor any adverse effects, including for effects not previously reported. And globally, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness and Innovation, CEPI, and the Brighton Collaboration are spearheading these efforts together with the WHO.
Health officials also discussed attitudes toward vaccine. Senior scholar and scientist Monica Shok-Spana says some residents may miss out on a vaccine or decide to opt out because they wouldn't trust it due to potential side effects, or they may not have access to a vaccine. She says stakeholders need to establish independent representative bodies now to overcome potential hurdles when that vaccine does become available. You know, tens of thousands of people who have tested positive for COVID-19 have received convalescent plasma as a way to try and help fight the virus. Now the emergency supply of that plasma that comes from recovered coronavirus patients is running out. The American Red Cross says it has seen a demand for the plasma more than double over the past month. Cases increased. It is distributing that plasma faster than donations are coming in. Franklin Miles is one of the doctors. He learned about donating his plasma from a news story when he was in the hospital being treated for COVID-19. He says he didn't know if he would survive.
Rewarding to be, one of the catalysts that kind of has had it, recovered from it, and can help, whether it's one or 50 people or 100 people, but it can help other people recover from it too.
Now, Miles had to wait 28 days after he recovered from COVID-19 to be able to donate. He says the process is similar to donating blood and it takes about an hour. Miles has donated 3 times already. He says he plans to keep doing it every 28 days until they tell him that he doesn't have any more antibodies. The Red Cross says each donation has the potential to help up to 3 patients. The medical director of the blood bank at Johns Hopkins tells us so far they're seeing that convalescent plasma is very safe. Patients who have COVID-19 are able to tolerate it without significant side effects.
We don't have an ability to manufacture convalescent plasma in a laboratory. As advanced as our laboratories are, there's no way for us to take ingredients and end up with a manufacturing process that leads to a unit of convalescent plasma to give to somebody who is sick with COVID-19.
Doctors are still studying how effective the plasma is in helping patients to recover. The doctor with Johns Hopkins says right now it seems like the earlier that patients can get it, the more likely that they are to have a positive outcome. If you've recovered from COVID-19 and want to donate your plasma, you can find information about where to do it on our website at WMER2news.com/coronavirus. All right, like a lot of things around here these days, this Ravens training camp is like never before. And the players are doing the best they can to make the most out of it. Lamar Jackson holding court for the first time in camp today. WMER2 News' Shawn Stepner is in Owings Mills with more tonight.
Well, the reigning NFL MVP is back for year 3. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson coming off that historic 2019 season, ready for an even better 2020.
There's always room for improvement, and I just got to keep grinding, working on everything, passing, running ability, everything. And I feel like the sky's the limit.
As Lamar and his teammates arrive, things looking different around the facility. It's all about adjusting to new COVID protocols.
I didn't have any corona, not one tick in me. I think I was doing a great job in quarantining. And gonna keep it that way. I'm the new bubble boy.
Players and coaches are equipped with tracking devices that buzz when they get too close to one another, and the sanitizer is never out of reach.
We doing our thing here. So, like I said, we got our mask.
Jackson says he hopes the NFL can complete the upcoming season. He's fully aware of the expectations upon him, trying to take that next step and win in the playoffs.
Last year, none of us expected us to lose, but now we just got to focus on Cleveland Browns. And then we get back to the playoffs, then we're going to go from there.
The Ravens host the Browns week 1. What did Lamar work on the most in the offseason?
Down the field passes, out-breaking routes.
And he's lobbying for another target to catch those throws. Veteran free agent receiver Antonio Brown. Lamar worked out with him in Florida over the offseason, impressed by his work ethic and not concerned about his off-the-field troubles.
I was hoping we would get him, still hoping a little bit. That's the type of guy we need in our locker room, and I feel like the locker room here is different from any other locker room. Like, it's a brotherhood going on. It's none of that outside noise.
Jackson says Ravens coaches did ask him how Brown looked. This week, all about COVID testing for Lamar and his teammates. Conditioning and walkthroughs begin next week, with padded practices starting in mid-August. In Owings Mills, Sean Stepner, WMAR2 News.
All right, thanks a lot, Sean. You know, the amount of people facing unemployment right now is rising, and many agencies have realized that. The Federal Reserve may have a solution to help borrowers save money with the lowering of interest rates. You're watching WMAR2 News, the station that's working for you. Well, today the Federal Reserve could grant a years-long extension on some of its lowest ever interest rates. It comes after at least 20 states have either paused or reversed reopening plans. A few weeks ago, the number of layoffs rose for the first time since March. Short-term borrowers would benefit from the near zero rate, but the central bank is also expected to keep its long-term rates low as well. Fed policymakers predict the bank's first rate hike wouldn't happen until 2022. Cigarette smoking appears to be making a comeback. Cigarette maker Altria expects cigarette sales to drop half of what it predicted this year. The CEO of Altria says fewer social interactions created more opportunities for people to light up. He also said strong regulations on e-cigarettes made people decide to go back to cigarettes. People saving money on travel and going out to eat left people with extra money to spend on cigarettes. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention blames nearly 480,000 annual deaths on cigarette smoking.
And now from WMAR2 News, Maryland's most accurate forecast.
Good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Stevie Daniels here. Hopefully had a chance to get outside today and enjoy the buckets of sunshine that we dealt with and the lack of humidity as well. It felt pretty comfortable, but it still felt pretty warm out there earlier this